Today's lesson is Saxon Course 2, Lesson 91. We're going to be doing evaluations with positive and negative numbers. So let's start off with what we know. We know how to evaluate expressions that have positive numbers. So if we're going to evaluate this expression, we are going to let x equal 2 and y equal 3. So what we're going to do is replace the x, all the x's with 2's, and all the y's with 3's. You'll notice that right here between the 2 and 3, I didn't put a symbol. There's not a symbol here either. Remember, when you have two letters next to each other, it just means you're multiplying them times each other. Same thing if you have two numbers in parentheses. If there's no symbol, you're multiplying. So then you're going to follow PEMDAS. First, are we going to subtract or multiply? Take a minute, pause this video, and try solving this by yourself. All right, let's see how you did. You should have done 2 times 3 is 6. And then we still have 2 minus 6 minus 3. Then, when we have two subtraction problems, we're going to move from left to right. So we're going to do 2 minus 6, which is negative 4, minus 3. And remember, we don't like to subtract when we have negatives and positives. So we're going to add negative 3. So negative 4 plus negative 3 is our final problem, which gives us negative 7. So our final answer is negative 7. But what if they give you negative numbers instead? So this time x is negative 2 and y is negative 3. We're still going to put the numbers, we're going to replace the letters with the numbers and put those numbers in parentheses. So if x is negative 2, we're going to write it like this. And y is negative 3. So we're replacing the y's with negative 3's. And now we have this problem. Now it is vital that you put those parentheses there. Otherwise, you're going to have so many symbols there, you're going to forget which was negative and which one was a subtraction sign. And so it just really helps to have those parentheses there. Take a minute, pause the video, and go ahead and figure this one out. All right, let's see how you did. First, you should have done negative 2 times negative 3. A negative times a negative is a positive, so that's positive 6. Then we still have the rest of our problem, negative 2 minus positive 6 minus negative 3. Now we're subtracting all the way across, but we have negative numbers. Do we really want to subtract? No, let's change it to addition. So we're going to change this one to addition, which means we have to change the symbol on the positive 6 to negative. And we're going to change this one to addition and change this negative 3 to a positive 3. Don't you love opposites? Me too. So negative 2 plus negative 6 is, good, negative 8. Then we have plus positive 3. So negative 8 plus positive 3, we're going to subtract because we have different symbols, rule number 2. So that's going to give us a 5. And then we have to decide, is 8 or 3 the larger number? Good, 8 is the larger number, so we're going to keep the negative sign. So our final answer is negative 5. How'd you do? Good. All right. This time we're going to let x equal positive 3 and y equal negative 2. Pause the video and try it out. All right, let's see how you did. So x is positive 3. So all my x's I'm changing to 3's. And all my y's, y is negative 2, so I'm going to change my y's to negative 2. Don't forget the subtraction sign right there. You don't mix it up with the negative 2. Make sure you write that there. All right, so now I still have this in the middle, so I'm going to multiply positive 3 times negative 2. A positive times a negative is a negative, so I end up with negative 6. And I still have 3 plus, and I better put that in parentheses so I don't get confused. 3 plus negative 6 minus negative 2. Now, do I really want a subtraction sign with the negative number? No, I'm going to change that. Change that to an addition sign, which means I have to change the -2 to the opposite, which is +2. Then I'm going to move left to right. So 3 plus -6 is -3 plus +2. Right, I forgot parenthesis there, didn't I? So -3 plus +2 is going to give me a final answer. Let's see, they have different signs. So I have to do 3 minus 2, which is 1. And the 3 is bigger than a 2, so we're going to keep this negative sign. So my final answer is -1. Good job. If you got that right, give yourself a pat on the back. And if you didn't, but you see where you made your mistake, give yourself a pat on the back for that too. Let's try another one. All right, so this time we have m equals -2 and n equals -5. Go ahead and pause the video and give it a try. All right, let's see what you came up with. All right, so we have -m, so we have 2 negative signs there, plus n, which is -5, minus m, which is -2, times n, which is -5. So we have our multiplication right there, so we're going to do that first. -2 times -5, a negative times a negative is a positive, 2 times 5 is 10. So we just have 10 here, and rewrite our problem. Now, we have this 2 negatives up here, and one thing you might think about is that technically that's -1 times -2, and when you have -1 times -2, you have a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and so you end up with a +2. So we're going to change that to +2 plus -5 minus +10. And then we want to change that subtraction sign to an addition sign, which means this +10 will become negative. And we're going to move left to right. So +2 plus -5 is -3 plus -10. They both are negatives. So 3 plus 10, that's rule number 1, is 13. And they're both negative, so we keep our negative sign. So -13 is our final answer. You got that right? Great job. You missed that. Okay, no worries. No worries. Hopefully you saw where you made the mistake. We're just learning. No big deal if we make mistakes, right? All right. So this is a little bit word problem, and it says, Nikki says the solution of the equation 3x plus 5 equals -1 is -2. So we're going to show how she can check her answer. So basically what she's saying is that x equals -2 right here when she says that. So we're going to replace x with -2 and see if it works in our problem to check our answer. So she has the problem 3x plus 5 equals -1. And we're going to put -2 in for the x. So we have 3 times -2 plus 5 equals -1. Well, 3 times -2, that's a positive times a negative, so that's going to give us a negative answer. And 3 times 2 is 6. We have -6 plus 5 equals -1. So now our question is -6 plus 5 -1? Well, a negative plus a positive, we're going to subtract, rule number 2. 6 minus 5 is 1, and the 6 is bigger, so keep the negative sign, and we end up with -1 equals -1. So yes, this is correct. So this is how we check our answers for these problems, as we plug in the answer into the problem. This is so vital when you're learning algebra and when you're checking your work, because I cannot tell you how many times I've plugged in the answer to find out if I got it correct. This is a huge benefit to anyone doing any of these kind of problems. So this one we're going to try. The same kind of thing. This time they're telling us that x equals -4. So you're going to pause the video, and I want you to go ahead and replace the x with -4 and see if the equation 4x plus 25 equals 9. Pause the video. All right, let's see what you got. Did it equal 9? Let's see. So we have 4x plus 25 equals 9. So we have 4 times -4 plus 25 equals 9. 4 times 4 is 16, and a positive times a negative is a negative. So we have -16 plus 25. So that's a positive 25, right? So a positive and a negative, when we're adding it, we're doing rule number 2, which means we subtract. So 25 minus 16 is 9. 25 is the bigger number, so it's a positive 9. And does positive 9 equal a 9 without the positive sign? Absolutely. All right, try this one on your own. Pause the video. All right, let's try it. X equals -5. So we have 3x plus 7 equals 8. 3 times -5 plus 7 equals 8. Well, a negative and a positive are always going to be a negative, so we got a negative. 3 times 5 is 15, so -15 plus 7 equals 8. Now we're adding a negative and a positive, and when we add a negative and positive, really we subtract. 15 minus 7 is 8. 15 is the bigger number. Keep your negative sign. And does -8 equal 8? Wait a minute. Does -8 equal positive 8? No, it doesn't. Therefore, when they ask you something like this, or when you find out that they don't equal, we learn that the solution is not -5. So the answer to this one is no. The solution is not -5. So sometimes when they give you these problems, they're asking, are these the actual solutions? And sometimes you're going to find out that that happens for you when you plug in your solution. When that happens, that means that you're going to go back and you've got to fix your original answer and find one that actually does work. All right, let's try this one. We're going to solve, and then we're going to check it. So go ahead and solve it, find out what you think x equals, and then you're going to plug in x and find out if you're correct. Go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's try it. So 4x equals -20. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4, because remember, we want to isolate the x. So x is isolated because those cancel each other out. And -20 divided by 4 is -5. So now I'm going to try 4 times -5 equals -20. So if you've forgotten, this was your original problem. 4x equals -20. Okay, so that was your original problem. So we just put x, what our answer was, -5, to see if it will work. Well, 4 times -5 is the same as a positive times a negative, which is a negative, and 4 times 5 is 20. Does -20 equal -20? Yes, it does, so that is correct. All right, try it for this one. Pause your video. Did it work? Did your solution work? Let's try it. All right, so we have -2x equals 16. And I'm going to rewrite it so it's not as confusing. And I want to isolate my x, so I'm going to do -2 divided by -2 and 16 divided by -2. That cancels those out and leaves x by itself. 16 divided by -2 is going to give me a negative answer, and 16 divided by 2 is 8, so x equals -8 is what I got. And now I have to plug it into the problem. So I'm going to do -2 times -8 equals 16. Well, I have a negative times a negative, which is a positive, and 2 times 8 is 16. So does positive 16 equal positive 16? Yes, it does. Good job. All right, that's the end of the lesson today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, make sure you ask me in the comments. And otherwise, give it a shot. See how you do. Don't forget to practice it with the practice set.